Welcome to 5 Stripe Weekly, everyone. This week, we try to get over that really frustrating result against New England on Wednesday, and we look ahead to that open roof spectacle against Philadelphia Union on Saturday. All that and more, coming up.
Welcome to the show, 5 Stripe fam. I'm AJ, this is Tanner McLeod. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button. So guys, let's get into our 1-1 draw against New England Revolution in what was ultimately a frustrating result, but we had a large portion of the chances. We squandered a bunch of them, but what did you think of the match?
Yeah, squandered a bunch of them, like almost all of them. I was genuinely like, you know in Monty Python when they like bang the books against their head and everything? That's how I was feeling almost the entire second half. It's like, for the love of God, just Barco hits the crossbar and it's just like the ball almost rolls in on like a comical like own goal type thing.
And
it's just like every possible thing of almost the ball going in without it going in.
Yeah.
It was just incredibly frustrating. And then I think a lot of people felt it was coming. I definitely felt it was coming. And sure enough, penalty, end of the game, and we draw. And it's just like, why? It's getting annoying not seeing the ball go in the back of the net, that's for sure.
Definitely. I mean, it's something that it's plaguing our entire season so far. I think it goes all the way to the preseason. But, it's something I think that will improve. It's a bad spell right now because the amount of chances that we're actually getting out there, we're scoring them at such a low rate. Even though the chances that we get are pretty good. It was a 3-on-1 at one point.
There was like a 2-on-0 at one point where all Miggy had to do is play a square ball to Joseph for the absolute sweatiest goal ever, and he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
And I texted you at the time. I was like, I will take sweaty goals. Just square the ball, pass it into the open net. Every goal doesn't have to be awesome.
Joseph had to tap it.
Just I don't care. Just put it in the back, and he's not missing on an open net from inside the 6-yard box.
Right. Which some fans have mentioned maybe is the thing about the chemistry in the team. I think even Extra Time Radio on MLSsoccer.com have been really pining for this thing about the chemistry being off in the team and that Miggy's not passing to Joseph on purpose.
Do you see them do the fusion celebration after the one goal? Yeah, it's like they love each other.
Just because they don't pass to each other one time or a couple times on the pitch because they're going to take the shot on themselves one time. It's not because there's a problem between them off the pitch and, Miggy prefers Barco or...
And honestly, I just think that's stupid. It's not beneficial for Miggy to just be like, I'm not going to pass to him because he wants to get his numbers up because that's what gets the interest of the big clubs in Europe. Joseph, he's a goal scorer. It's not like they don't want to win. We've seen them play so well together, so I just think it's stupid. Honestly, you kind of, when you talked about going back to the preseason, that kind of actually really just triggered me for a second. I think that preseason has a lot to do with why this season's going the way it's going. I think that was one of the worst preseasons I've ever seen. They played almost no useful minutes against useful teams. They played on a completely useless pitch in Nashville. Mm-hmm. They played on a dry, not very good pitch in Charleston against not very good teams in a not very good atmosphere.
And also the starting 11 never played fully together.
For many matches. They played 4 matches total. Yeah. Most teams try to play at least 7. Yeah. So you actually get some flow there. I think a lot of it has to go back to really poor preparation moving into the season. So you can see that translate for a lot of teams. If they don't have a good preseason, they can start the season off slow. Mm-hmm. And I think that they're working through that right now. And I think they will get better. It's just frustrating right now that the ball's not going in, but that happens to all teams. And I think this team's good enough to where they will start scoring goals at some point. I just prefer it to be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, and in spite of all this, we're still top of the East and in the Supporters Shield standings.
Yeah,
so
we're still number 1, and I don't want to be too critical of a team that's still in first place. It's just frustrating because this team could be 7, 8, 9 points clear at the top easily, in my opinion.
Yeah, there are definitely some results that if things had gone our way, we won't get into them. But yeah, and so this record still could look rosier, but it's also, I think, against some of the other, results that were really, really good, a lot of the 5-0s, 4-0s, that also I think balances out.
Yeah.
So
we can't beat every team 4 or 5 now.
Exactly. And so,
although I'd like to.
Yeah, and VAR is definitely not always going to be our friend, and
No.
we've seen in the past month, essentially, it has really not been our friend.
Yeah.
And I think there were maybe some calls this match that maybe because of the last 2 matches against KC, against Red Bulls, that were marred with VAR, maybe the refs had a little talk and were like, okay, maybe if we don't get into VAR this week with Atlanta United, it might be a good thing. And you can see that with the ref. He was walking around, for maybe a minute or 2, and he had his finger to his ear, but he didn't call anything on VAR.
I think what's Dan Gargan talked about it on the broadcast, but he stopped play for reasons that were he stopped play for one time on a foul in Barco where he booked the guy. I don't know what he was reviewing. It was not a red card. It wasn't mistaken identity, and he wasted a minute of the time breaking up the play of the game to listen to something that didn't need to be reviewed. And Darren Eales had a very interesting point on 92.9 The Game where he was talking about how officials are using VAR as a crutch now because they don't know what they're doing, and I guess they're scared or they're just bad refs. But in the Columbus game this past weekend, a guy absolutely gets slapped off the ball. I mean, he has to come off because he got basically punched in the face. And with 4 officials, the 4th official, both linesmen, and the lead ref, all of them missed it. I have no idea how. Someone has to be looking at, off the ball. That's what the officials are there for in literally every sport. Every official is not supposed to be looking at the ball. Yeah. And then in the Higuain red card, the ref is 10 feet away. He's not even looking at the ball. I'm blown away by the ineptitude of officials. That being said, to take it back to Atlanta United and this New England game, it was frustrating because I think VAR could have been used to get Atlanta United a penalty in the second half. And maybe it could have been used to overturn the penalty that New England had. Either way, my opinion in this specific instance, Atlanta United should have been home and host by then. 4-1, 5. It shouldn't matter. They had the opportunity to take the game out of the officials' hands. And if you don't take your chances and then give the potential for the refs to make really shitty calls, which they are showing that they do consistently, that's the only thing they're consistent at, then you're going to end up frustrated by getting these results. But that's the team's own fault for not taking their chances. Yeah,
and I think by Tata Martino's own admission that there were about 7 good chances that we had to put the ball in the back of the net. We only scored 1, obviously, but I think it goes into this kind of expected goals type of stat that we had 19, like plus 19, where we actually put goals in the back of the net over what was expected last year, and this year obviously
see Tito versus Orlando.
Yeah, exactly right. But also this year we've been much less clinical. I think it's just the law of averages kind of evening out a little bit. I think last year we saw that we were probably a little OP and we're not maybe as clinical as that, as we showed last year, but this year maybe under that. The expectations from everybody, it's just sky high, and that's why people are frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of poses the question, do you think our expectations are too high of this team right now? Do you think we've might be gone a little bit? I know I'm really positive about it because I think there are a lot of really talented players on this team that I genuinely do think they can go out and beat every single team they play 3-1. But is that slightly becoming unrealistic? Are they not as good as we think they are?
Well, I think it's this too. Like we play so well, most of the time against every single team that we have that chance. Like we look good. There's been very few matches this year that we've just looked outright terrible in terms of not getting chances. Not putting balls in the back of the net. We still, more often than not, we're doing so. It's clear we have 27 goals leading the league. Like we're doing what we need to do to get results for most of the games we're playing in. It's just, I think our fans are a little spoiled at the moment, and I think it's good. I mean, it's like we're upset that we're still in first, even though we're underperforming. So it's a good and bad thing, obviously, but we can. I think once we temper our expectations a little bit, I don't know what it's going to take. I think maybe this run of form, lowers everybody's expectations. Maybe.
Well, I don't know. I think to kind of cap this, at least the recap of this match off,
Yeah.
the positive is the fact that they still drew on the road. And if you draw your away games and win your home games, you're going to be thereabouts top of the league at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And they've gone 5 unbeaten on the road in MLS. That does not happen very often. Teams do not perform well away from home in MLS. Take it for Atlanta last season. Very poor on the road. We've already equaled the same amount of away wins that we had all of last season.
Yeah.
And it's about to be June.
Yeah.
So we need to just relax in the fact that, myself included, it's frustrating, and I get frustrated watching them because I know that they can perform better.
Yeah.
Maybe that comes with this change of system, but they're performing well on the road right now. They're getting good results, and I think that it's hard for us to really be too upset when, like you said, we're still in first place.
And guys, we have a new segment that we're going to try out called the mailbag, and we got a bunch of questions from you guys on social media, and we're going to do our best to answer as many of them as we can. But if you have a question that you want us to answer, let us know on our various social media with the hashtag 5StripeWeekly. So our first question comes from Matteo Adante on Instagram. He says, I have a question. Why does Barco keep being pulled near the end of games when we could use his creativity? Is he so tired he can't go the last 10 minutes? With the struggles finishing, do you think we should try to add to the attack this summer?
I think for me, I don't think this is much a slant on Barco as it is a tactical change. Kevin Kratz is usually the guy that comes on for him, with the exception, obviously, of Wednesday night against New England, which was just really just unlucky, if anything else. He brings a different type of style than Barco does, and usually Tata's trying to kill the game and close up shop and secure the result with the last few minutes of the match.
Play possession.
Yeah, play possession. Kevin Kratz is going to give you more of like a central midfielder's presence. He's going to be a lot more positionally disciplined. He's going to give you more defensively. Not to slight Barco's dead ball delivery, it's very good, but Kevin Kratz is more reliable, and if you have a corner or a free kick towards the end of the game, I'd rather him be standing on it. Also, Barco is not the most defensively sound guy we have on the pitch. You don't need to have 3 out-and-out attackers and Miggy Joseph, who doesn't usually play the full 90 right now either, and Barco on the pitch at the same time.
He's a little bit more diminutive.
He's also not very tall, so he offers you next to nothing offset plays. Joseph is actually very good in the air for his size. Barco, not so much. So I think it's a lot more tactical than it is Barco being tired. Also, he's still assimilating into this team. So it's a long season. So he doesn't need to be playing a full 90, especially when you can have congested fixture schedules with another match a few days away. He doesn't have to play that full 90. So I definitely think it's a lot of combinations, but it's not a lack of talent on his part. I think it's more of, he doesn't offer you what you need in the late game. Unless you're trying to win it, then obviously he stays on. But in a game you're winning, he's not necessarily a player you need to keep on the pitch to secure that result once you get past the 75th, 80th minute.
And our second question comes from Dtract on Twitter, and also a very similar question on Instagram, Alejandro Civita. They both pretty much asked about Hector and if his injuries and playing time is a worry, and if we need to start searching for other options.
I think the injuries, it's more frustrating than it is concerning. He's been dealing with a lot of hamstring issues. A lot of those issues can be very finicky, and if you don't let it fully heal, it can keep being a reoccurring injury. It just happens sometimes. That being said, he scored 13 goals last season. I think he's the fastest player Atlanta United have. He is by far the most direct of any of the attackers that Atlanta United have. I think that when he's fully fit and when the team is in a position for Tata to switch systems back to the 4-2-3-1, I think he'll be starting every game. Yeah. Right now, when he comes off the bench, he's an absolute just boss player to have to run at a tired fullback. But he changes the way that teams play against Atlanta United. And that also, like I said, goes hand in hand with the change in system. He offers so much pace down the right-hand side that it prevents teams from pressing Atlanta United. So I think that when he's fit, it'll really change the way that teams will approach us because of how dangerous he is. And also, he's got probably the best long shot of anyone in the league. See Orlando, see Montreal. He has an amazing right boot. I'm not concerned about his long-term future, and I think he's a very integral player to this team.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think when you see him in the 3-5-2 earlier in the year with Barco being out as one of the 2 strikers up top, they were so dangerous together, him and Joseph. Like, the chemistry was there. They knew where each other would be. Villalba knows where Joseph likes the ball on that near post. Like, the chemistry is there when they play together. So I think, Tito Villalba being in the team is very integral, and we need him. So, yeah, agreed. And our third question comes from Brian Schwab on Facebook. He says, while this match was called way better than the last one, still looking for consistency on the calls. The penalty that was called for the Revs was correct, but where was the penalty for United? They should have had one, possibly two, as Marvin Gaye once saying, what's going on?
I start off, I guess I'd say it's frustrating. Officiating on just the world level in general, it's pretty dismal right now. You can watch the EPL and you'll scratch your head. You can watch La Liga, you can watch Serie A, almost everywhere, and we'll probably see it at the World Cup. The officiating right now is maybe because there's more games on TV and there's more coverage than before, you see the mistakes more, and because of that, it's a bit harsher. But I think right now in MLS, the standard is lower than everywhere else. It's not, the only consistent thing is that it's inconsistent. I think they are improperly using VAR, and I was a very strong believer in VAR, and as of the moment, I have flipped my opinion because of how poorly it is being used in the league. I think it's actually made the officials worse because of them using it as a crutch, like we talked about earlier. Yeah, it was a penalty for New England. I think it was a penalty for Atlanta as well. But at this point, it's hard to say anything other than that's what we have to expect, is that you're going to be left scratching your head. And that might sound like a bad answer, but unless things change and they get paid more and they have better training and they can figure out how to use VAR, then we're going to keep seeing the same things. I will say the best solution to this is for Atlanta to not give the officials the chance and to take their chances when they have them and to score the goals that they should be scoring. And then by doing so, you negate any potential for the refs screwing you in any way. And unfortunately, that's really the only thing they can do right now because of how bad they are.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best bet is to scale down the usage somehow and really make it, goals, red cards, and not judgment calls, because that's really what's screwing everything up. But I think also with the World Cup coming soon and, with VAR being used there, it's gonna be,
that can make or break VAR. I mean, if it's poor at the World Cup, there's a good chance it'll be shelved for. I think it has a place in the game at some point in time because I think it's important for big decisions, because I'm of the opinion that a big decision should not be wrong. If it's a red card that's a bad red card that was missed, that player doesn't deserve to stay on the pitch. I would be very upset if a player should have been sent off, ends up scoring a winning goal or something like that, or a goal is chalked off for offside when a player is clearly onside. Those types of things are important, but every little foul doesn't need to be reviewed. Every single judgment call doesn't need to be reviewed. I think that that's ridiculous. I think that, best case example is Joseph against New York Red Bull. That's a decision call. He let that go. That should be a goal. That shouldn't be reviewed. It is what it is. That was his judgment in that moment. It wasn't a clear and obvious error. Small fouls like that have always been a part of the game. It goes one way or the other. It's frustrating. That doesn't need to become a thing, because then you're going to start seeing refs like we're seeing now review every little thing they can. And in my opinion, that slows down the game. It ruins the game. And that has no place in the game.
Good. Yep. Well, let's move on to our Wasteman of the Week segment.
Yeah.
What do we have?
So our Wasteman of the Week segment goes to this wonderful place that none of us like, called Orlando City Soccer Club. I don't know if many of you have seen, but if you go on social media, you will have noticed the nice new announcement. They have banned all Atlanta United supporters groups for 3 matches from any Orlando City games in Orlando, because we threw trash on the field, or specifically because 5 fans threw trash on the field, and they brought it to Atlanta United's attention. Atlanta United didn't even dignify it with an answer. As we all know, the only trash in Orlando is all the people that wear purple, most of the ones on the field, and the ones that throw trash on the field. Good job, Orlando. You played yourself. You win Wasteman of the Week. Well, actually, your fans do, because they throw trash. So good job, guys. You played yourselves. And what's funny about this whole thing is that Atlanta United have actually responded to Orlando City's just silliness, and shockingly enough, they disagree.
Yeah, they said, we disagree with the unsubstantiated and premature position that the Orlando City SC organization has taken regarding our visiting fans, and we have asked for an extension to further investigate alleged supporter involvement. We feel this action is inconsistent with league policy and practice, and as such, we will be calling for a league review. We continue to assist Orlando City SC with their follow-up on incidents of Atlanta United fan misconduct and believe in accountability for these behaviors, as well as for the misconduct displayed by OCSC fans at the conclusion of the May 13th match.
Yeah, see, I think the biggest problem here is that they're mad because 5 Atlanta United fans apparently threw something and swore, when in reality, the entirety of the Orlando Stadium, they just started throwing shit on the field. Like, because they were mad because they lost and their stupid Will Johnson guy dove and didn't get a penalty that he shouldn't have gotten because it was terrible, that he got fined for, that Orlando got fined for because they, acted stupidly. Also, they got fined because they violated the mass confrontation. Everything about Orlando in that game was their fault. 5 fans misbehaving out of a very strong contingent does not mean that you can just ban all the supporters groups, because the problem is not Atlanta United. The problem is your fans, your officers that were controlling the event were terrible. Stop trying to put it on Atlanta United for us failing about doing something. It's Orlando's problem, not ours. Control your fans and don't worry about our fans. If our fans are throwing a bunch of stuff and being really, really disorderly, then it's a problem. But that wasn't the issue about the whole game. It was the Orlando City fans. So how about you look at yourself in the mirror and worry about what you did and stop worrying about what we did. But wait, you can't, because you're a small club with a small mentality and you just gotta make everything about other people so you stay in the spotlight. So, Wasteman of the Week, Orlando City Football Club. I'm sorry, I can't believe I'm still talking about them because I don't care.
So let's get into Atlanta United 2. They had a match this past weekend and it was against North Carolina FC. They lost 4-0, unfortunately, but Brandon Vasquez and Alec Can got some good precious minutes for the U.S. Open Cup. If, they are needed, they are match fit, so this is good. Atlanta United 2 are currently 2-6-3 and will play Tampa Bay Rowdies this weekend.
And to get into some of the news that happened this past week, guys, Greg Garza has had surgery on his shoulder and unfortunately will be out 4 to 6 months. He had a really heartfelt message after the surgery. We wish him the best, speedy recovery. Hopefully he could be back for the end of the season or possibly even the playoffs. But for now, get well soon, Greg, and hopefully we see you soon.
Definitely. Yeah, and we have a brand new transfer rumor as we are wont to do.
Real big one now.
Yeah. But it's Juan Fernando Quintero of River Plate, and he's a kind of central attacking midfielder. Got a rocket of a left foot, apparently. But a couple sources said that we were linked to him, and then all of a sudden he signs a permanent deal, apparently, today. This is Thursday that we're filming this, and he signs a permanent deal with River Plate. So, these things happen.
Who knows? I mean, he was kind of being touted as like a Miggy replacement, but I think Miggy's going to be here. I think Miggy's going to be here through summer of 2019.
Ooh.
Might be a hot take there. I don't think he's leaving anytime soon. But I think that he could be a potential Miggy replacement, but signing a permanent deal for, he could stay another year in Argentina, continue to improve, and maybe we are in form at some point in time in the future. But right now, I mean, he's with them, and then we don't need a Miggy replacement because, well, we've got Miggy.
Yeah, and there's rumors that maybe he'd be sold to an MLS club or something later on, but I think, to the optics for fans, like once you get a player on a permanent deal, I don't think you immediately sell them. So yeah, I think a year or so is probably a good shout, maybe at least till winter. But I think there's this interesting part. If we did get him, apparently he's a rapper. And,
he would fit in well with the Atlanta culture then. Maybe he could get some...
Al Banda. And, so check out a little quick snippet from him rapping.
Ella es una adicta a la red social. Lo que siente por ahí se expresa y mana. Si le gusta a alguien, por el chat se hace. Y llegó con fe a dañarle el plan.
Yeah, so it's...
That's a thing. That's a thing.
That would have been fun, but it's a shame that it didn't happen. Oh well.
Maybe it will one day, who knows.
Yeah, definitely. But let's get into the standings. So we are, as we said earlier, we are first in the East and still first in the Supporter Shield. We're at a good 2 points per game, and we're also 1 point above now, so that's much more reassuring.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1 point. It's, you have that little gap, but the biggest part about that is we have a game in hand on Columbus. They've played one more match than we have, so that could potentially be 4 if we win that game in hand. Mind you, Red Bull also have a game in hand on Atlanta United, so if they did win that, could still go into first place. But still, 12, 13 games into the season, first place, not bad. I'll take it.
So getting into our match this Saturday against Philadelphia Union at 7:30 at the Benz, it's going to be the first time the roof is going to be open for 2018. What are your thoughts on that? The roof being open?
I think it's pretty cool. If it ever works properly, that'd be even cooler. I was thinking about it. You know how we play like the Game of Thrones theme song before the match?
Yep.
How cool would it be if that started playing and as it starts playing, the roof would start opening as well with the super cool light show? That'd be really, because it always plays like 12, 13 minutes before the game starts, and the roof takes 12 to 13 minutes to open.
Yeah.
If it works with the super dope light show that we have, I think that would be pretty badass.
Yeah.
So because it shows the roof opening in the video, even though that never does in real life. But if it did, that'd be really cool. I think it kind of gives a cool optic when you're inside of the stadium.
Yep.
It kind of looks funny from the outside, but I think from the inside it's really cool looking. It gives a cool ambiance that we usually don't have. I would kind of like it if it rained, because it'd be kind of cool to see it raining through the open. It just kind of gives it a cool perspective. Who knows? That's just me.
I'm far enough that I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I'm fine too. I believe. I really don't think it's really going to be much of a problem for the fans. I think it's really just going to sit pretty much on the players. But who knows? Maybe it makes it harder for teams to defend Atlanta United at home, and it's another advantage.
It'll be much faster, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And,
I think that suits Atlanta if the pitch is even faster. So. I mean, it's cool, but to get to the actual match itself, Philadelphia, they've won 3 out of their last 4. That being said, they haven't been great on the road this year. They lost 3-0 to Toronto. They also lost 3-0 to Colorado at the beginning of the season, and everyone who pays a lot of attention to MLS knows how bad they are.
Yeah.
So
they're 1-4-1 on the road, not the best record. So that's encouraging for sure. They're also 7th in the East, right out of a playoff spot. So they're going to be fighting for one of those last playoff spots if they're still where they're at the end of the season. But the Union are, they have a good strong attack, and so
9 goals in the last 4 games.
Yeah, they so they are going to be a handful to deal with, and they've got players that like David Kam. They've got a new Czech international Borek Dakal.
Good word pronunciation.
Thanks, man.
It's a tough name.
Appreciate it. Yeah. They have CJ Sapong as well. And it's a very lethal attack.
Yeah.
But I think their back line can be had.
So those are definitely the players to watch out for, and not shockingly, they are all attackers. But I think at home against a team that struggles on the road, that isn't a top tier team. This isn't a Sporting KC. This isn't a New York Red Bull, a veteran, experienced team that you expect to be contending.
Still dangerous, though.
Still dangerous, though. But I think that this is a team that could be had. I think Atlanta probably become rather frustrated to drop their last 2 games at home. I think what will be interesting is what system Tata will use. If he sticks with the 3-5-2, again, I think that really depends on if Tito's healthy.
Yes.
If Tito is fit, I think he could go 4-2-3-1. But having Tito, seen him miss the midweek match, he's probably not fit to start.
Yeah.
So
with his hyperextension of his knee that he suffered on Tuesday in training, he's going to be evaluated on Thursday and Friday. I think we're going to have to hedge our bets with him, make sure that he's fully clear and, that we're not pushing him too early after an injury. So, I don't think he's going to start. I think, for me, it's going to be a 3-5-2. So, it's going to be that, Guzan, and, of course, I think, with LGP returning, you'll slot right back in. Parker's in the middle. Probably Escobar for me, even though he looked a little shaky, but it's his first game back. I mean, I think
he keeps getting clattered in the head.
Yeah, so it's the first. At least there's the caveat. No funny business with Guzan this time. So that's good.
Although with Guzan's distribution, the other day, it wouldn't have shocked me if he just shanked the ball and it just hit him straight in the noggin and he went down. because that was woeful.
It was not the best.
But it wouldn't have shocked me. It'd just been like,
Yeah.
this is just this guy's luck right now.
Yeah, for sure. But so yeah, no, Escobar needs to stay the hell away from Musean. But and so I think as a left wing back, Mikey Ambrose, right wing back, Julian Gressel, Larry Nagby, and
Almiron
Miggy, Barco,
Martinez, what you expect at the top.
Yeah, I think it's got to be that because of the personnel that we have at hand. And, you know, is it best suited for this type of team? I mean, I think we're most used to it at this point for the moment.
I'm starting to get really tired of it, to be personally honest. Like, I want to see Tito fit. I want to see the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
I want to see goals flowing.
Yeah.
I see enough I get frustrated enough watching Man United play and not score and want to bang my head against the wall every time. Atlanta United is my relief from that.
Yeah.
So I want to see some goals. So to go from that, we're going to just nice little easy segue into my prediction. I think there's going to be lots of goals. I think it's going to be 3-2 because for some reason we keep conceding at home. Mm-hmm. But I think we're going to score some goals finally because they're not great on the road and they concede. 3 goals for us, 2 goals for them, 3 points, happy days.
Yeah. I think a little bit less goals will be scored. I think our goal scoring form is still not quite there. So I think it's going to be a 2-1 Atlanta win. But, you know...
Hey, last time the roof was open, it was a 3-3 draw. I just want to say,
yes.
Roof open equals goals. I don't know if there's anything with that at all.
Correlation, smallest sample size
probably
possible.
There's 0 sample size for that, with the exception of the one game. I'm just trying to be positive. Yeah. I just want to see us put the ball in the back of the net and it not be called back for VAR because I haven't seen it in 2 home games and it's driving me absolutely insane. I'm trying to be super positive about this game, even though I genuinely feel like I'm just banging my head against the door with just goals at home and VAR. So I want goals, and for just the love of absolute everything that is holy, more than anything else, I just don't want to see VAR for just stupid shit in this game. And guys, to get into the question of the day, we posed the question last night on Twitter as well, but we really want to know what you guys have to think. And the question is, are you concerned about Atlanta United's lack of finishing and wastefulness in front of goal? Get in the comments below and let us know what you think.
So guys, that's it for us today. Remember to subscribe if you haven't, smash a like, share this video because it really does help us a lot. And for Tanner McLeod, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.